Hi. I know it's a long time, but yeah, this is me just thinking out loud. When you're not able to think at a stretch, you are deviating from your thoughts. You start to write something or record a voice. This is just me recording a video, right? Today, I want to discuss about a recent series that I watched. The name is Pluribus, and it's an amazing series that I think everyone should watch. There won't be any spoilers in this video, and if anything, you will be more inclined to watch the series after watching this video. So don't worry about any spoilers or whatsoever in this video. And in any case, I think in season 1 there wasn't any spoilers or such. So the central idea is that some faraway civilization has directed us about a DNA sequence or RNA sequence, right? And that is somehow unifying all the consciousness of the human population and having a central intelligence of sorts. So that's really fascinating to me because of the fact that I have thought of it in the past, thinking like if everyone had sort of a same brain, what will be the possibilities we can achieve? And secondly, because I was reading about AI and AGI, and I think the central idea for AGI is kind of similar because you will have that central sort of intelligence, unified intelligence, and you will be able to, master any concepts whatsoever. These are the two reasons why this sort of idea really resonates with me. It really started to think like, what will be the possibilities if this was a reality, and is this something that I want to happen eventually? And the later part of the question has really put me in a dilemma, right? I don't think I would want that to be happen initially because of the loss of individuality, loss of soul, as someone might have suggested. There won't be any souls left. But at the same time, I want that to happen because everyone will live in peace and harmony, and the rate of development would really, would be tremendous. And most likely, we won't blow up this planet with all the resources we have right now. Atom bombs, hydrogen bombs, and I think they're coming up with new technologies again and again. I think we are at the highest risk right now to blow ourselves up, blow out the entire civilizations. To think that we have a unified sort of consciousness who is not violent, who is utopian at the same time, and thinks about everyone else, thinks about all the animals, the environment. I think that sort of consciousness would make a lot of sense. But again, at the back of my mind, I really like my individuality. And the more you think about this idea in Pluribus, when you watch that series, the idea of individuality comes, but again, you are not really losing your individuality. You retain all the experiences, your memories, things that occurred. You retain everything, and you are able to experience it with a lot more bliss. Do we want that to happen, or do we not? Another idea that fascinates me is how this unified central consciousness is able to be so utopic. How are they so happy all the time, so generous with all the creatures of the earth, with everything, right? They're not even able to pick an apple from the tree. And this sort of nature, it's really not something that I expected, because if you think about it, if we just unify all this human consciousness, that all the humans present in the earth right now, if we unify them, most likely a very evil thing might emerge. I'm not saying this in a negative sense. This is just based on my observation with a lot of people. Even the most peaceful person I know probably thinks about hurting someone, who is a negative person in their mind. Of course, there are exceptions. There are exceptions who are very, peaceful, thinks positive about everyone. But the majority of the population, let's say the 90% of the population, are evil in some way or the other, whether, lust, greed, violence. There are multiple factors. Is this really possible if we just unify all the consciousness in one place? Will it be possible that you create a sort of positive consciousness. But I think the secret sauce is that kind of RNA sequence, the virus of sorts. I think that's the secret sauce that is sort of merging all the good qualities of the consciousness and not letting the evil qualities come out. Otherwise, a lot of people, a lot of conscious humans have the desire to hurt each other, because this is the animalistic behavior that we're talking about. We are carrying this in our DNA to defend ourselves. We have a sort of predatory behavior. We have a sort of tendency to protect our anything, right? We have these tendencies, these evolutionary tendencies that are still present in us, that makes us kind of animalistic. And to see that this can be unified, such a beautiful concept. It's such refreshing and such, optimistic to think that this can be a possibility. However, do we really want that? And I think the main idea that is being repeated in the CDs is that once you experience that, you are content with yourselves. At least that is what is being shown. You are content with yourselves. The idea of going back, to your individual self really vanishes. And of course, there are like 13 or so people who are not affected by the virus of this, consciousness, unified consciousness. So they're trying to save the world. Although not all of them are trying to, because that's the human nature. Right now, if I say make a vote, I think divisions, there will be so many differences among us. We cannot even vote properly for, let's say I just announced a vote. Okay, all over the world, everyone has to vote. If you can comprehend the question, is that the ban of nuclear weapons, right? This is a very simple thing. We should ban all the nuclear weapons because they can eventually destroy us, right? They can eventually blow up the planet, and you don't really require a nuclear weapon to sort of defend yourselves. So let's all uniformly, discard all the nuclear weapons. Let's get rid of them, right? We don't require them. And I assure you that 90% of the population not be in favor of my suggestion, because US might come up and say, hey, it's a very noble idea, very utopic idea, but we need to defend ourselves. Some other country might come up and say, yeah, we need to defend ourselves as well. So everyone will give this proposal that, yeah, we need to defend ourselves. But from whom? If none of countries have nuclear weapons, from whom will they defend themselves? Who will attack? And once, even if this sort of idea is spread around, people will say that, okay, this country might secretly be working on a nuclear project, so I need to make one and defend us. I read this book recently, and there a similar idea sort of emerged. And it's really relevant in our present times because we are on the brink of extinction right now. It's that every civilization old enough sort of tries to destroy itself. And I think we can really see in the ruins of our past civilization. People are so dumbfounded by the ruins of the past civilizations. Let's say Ajanta Ellora caves or the pyramids. They sort of try to think that, okay, there was some alien invasion and they sort of created these temples and buildings and all sorts. But, it's really the mark of the past civilization who sort of destroyed themselves because they were so powerful eventually. And right now, we are in the extreme case of destruction because of the atom bombs, because it can trigger some sort of chain reaction which can totally destroy the earth or some sorts. If the whole world right now, if every nation starts an atom bomb, nuclear war, it will, destroy everything. And, Albert Einstein probably said this, that, the third world war will be fought with nuclear bombs, but the next will be fought on sticks and stones. However, I don't believe there will be any sticks and stones, because I think it will wipe out everything. So this idea that civilization who grows, who has a lot of time to grow itself, probably tries to destroy each other. It's the inherent property of the civilization. So another thing that really struck with me, idea of central intelligence. I think there were some scenes where someone was asking about the weather, and they were like giving precise weather measurements as weather channels. Because again, the idea is similar, because the weather guy is also merged with, let's say, a mailman or a delivery guy. Everyone is merged. A delivery guy can sort of fly a plane, operate a knee surgery. So this merging of intelligence could be extremely beneficial. But again, we are thinking about the loss of individuality. But again, we are on the brink of extinction. So, should we really accept this sort of utopic sort of system? Is a question we need to think about. But the series ends abruptly, and it really keeps me eagerly waiting for the next season. This virus, which is unifying all our consciousness, intelligence, memories, experiences, what is the objective of this virus? Is something we need to think about. What is the main motive? Why are they doing this? Is it really a very positive motive for the good of humanity? Let me just fix all the problems. There won't be any differences. For the sake of humanity, let's do something. Let's say some crazy scientist sort of develops this kind of virus, which unifies the consciousness, paints it in a very positive fashion for the sake of humanity. Or could there be any ulterior motive? We need to think about that. So the moral of the story is you need to watch Pluribus if you have the time. I think which I recently made that really makes you think, makes you question a lot of things. Initially, a question was put forward that everything is now a lot more peaceful. There are no wars currently, none of the people are getting shot. So why do you hate this? Why do you hate this unified consciousness? Another concept that has been intriguing me is if I could create, biotech is really fascinating to me right now. If I could create a sort of virus that can erase this violent nature of the human brains, I'm willing to study for it, in depth. But if I could create that virus that can turn off the animalistic nature or the violent nature of the human beings, or let's say if I can turn off the corruption, the brain is full of neurons, connections of neurons, electromagnetic fields whatsoever. If I can somehow create a virus that switches off these sort of negative aspects of humans, will I really unleash it to the world? And the world would be extremely utopic, right? We carry weapons to defend ourselves mostly, as how people like to imagine. If everyone is extremely peaceful, who do we have to defend ourselves from? Maybe the animals. It is a very utopic thought. We won't really use this on animals because that's again a sort of food chain created over there. But from humans, if it is created, I think a lot of problems could be solved, and maybe some scientists are working on the same, because I don't see any other alternative for bringing about peace everywhere at the same time. And this series Pluribus really enlightened this thought of mine that what if it was a reality? It's really fascinating to think about it. So moral of the story is you need to watch Pluribus and let me know how you liked it in the comments. Thank you.